Welcome back to News 9 on a Thursday. You know, every Thursday at this time, we go in depth with the Oklahoma City Police Chief Wade Gourley.
This week, we are talking about the arrest of Oklahoma City police officer Christopher Gellenbeck on multiple charges. Here's Lisa Monahan.
Oklahoma City Police Chief Wade Gourley in studio this morning, and we're talking about the arrest of an Oklahoma City police officer. Sergeant Christopher Gellenbeck was arrested last week on several complaints of child abuse and domestic abuse. And Chief, we want to know what the department is doing as a response.
So first off, this particular officer was already on administrative leave for another unrelated investigation involving something administrative within the police department. And so once any officer is arrested, we immediately put that person on administrative leave with pay until charges are filed. Once charges are filed, then we have a process to go through following the contract where we put that person on leave without pay. So that's where we're at right now. He was already on administrative leave for another deal, and then so this just added to that.
And even before that, he was in trouble with the law on an arrest for domestic abuse. Those charges later dismissed or even dropped down to misdemeanor. Really, I guess the question that a lot of people are probably asking is, why was this guy still on duty?
It's very frustrating for us as well. In that original case, which was a case that we investigated, the police department, we presented charges. Charges were originally accepted for domestic violence, domestic abuse. I don't remember the exact charges. There were several charges, but at some point, we weren't consulted during that process, but at some point, we learned that those charges had been reduced down through what's called an Alford plea. Which, basically is him saying, he's not pleading either guilty or innocent, but just that there's enough evidence there to at least make a case. And that Alford plea, what he actually pled to was disturbing the peace, which is a very low-level misdemeanor. Basically, in Oklahoma City, you can get a citation for loud noise. That's basically the same thing. And so that's what the charge was that he pled to. So we didn't have anything at that point that we could terminate him for, even though we did an administrative investigation after that.
But knowing the nature of the allegations against him, why not release him from duty at that time?
So that's a very complicated issue as well, and it's very frustrating to me as an agency head. It's frustrating to our police officers that are out there doing a great job every day, following the letter of the law and doing what they're supposed to do, holding themselves to a higher standard. And really what it boils down to for us is that CLEAT certification. We've tried over the last several years through the Oklahoma Association of Chiefs of Police to have certain standards that every professional organization, if you're a doctor, a lawyer, pharmacist, any professional organization, and something like this happens, you go before a board, you have your licensing looked at. We're really trying to get something like that through CLEAT that provides more clear guidance for when these officers do something like this that would give us the ability to revoke that certification, because once you do that, then that officer can't work anymore as a police officer. And that's what we really want to try and get at. We're going to be pushing legislation for that again this year.
Because is this the sort of person that you want to be on the Oklahoma City Police Department? Absolutely
not. And it's frustrating because I know the community looks at that. They don't know the backstory and the things that go, with that and what happened. All they see is that we have an officer that was arrested on some very serious charges, and and they want us to be held accountable. We want to hold those folks accountable too. So it's very frustrating as an agency head and as those of us on the department that are responsible for making decisions and administering discipline. It's very frustrating. And to be honest, I'm not surprised we're here again. I mean, in domestic violence, we know tends to reoccur. It is something that is very complicated. Oklahoma has some of the worst domestic violence rates in the country, and I think it's embarrassing when you have an Oklahoma City police officer now charged twice with domestic violence.
We can trust that you will be investigating this fully.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks so much for the insight. We appreciate your candid comments this morning. If you have a question for the Chief about this issue or any issue in our community, you can send an email to chatwiththechief@griffin.news and we'll get you some answers.